mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic. Yeah. All I need is one mic.
Hey everybody, welcome back to One Mic, where I watch shit so you don't have to. And today I'm here to talk about Season 3, Episode 6 of FX's Atlanta, entitled White Fashion. The title's pretty obvious why it's called White Fashion, but I kind of want to focus on the episode descriptions. This one, I'm going to read this one, then I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to read the episode descriptions for the previous 5, because I think it's interesting what they do with the episode descriptions. So this one, you know what? Actually, I'm going to read the previous 5 first, and then I'm going to read this one, because then this one will help me kind of like transition into what I want to talk about with this episode. So episode 1, which was the one that was based on the kid who was hugging the cop and that gets adopted by the white family, and then she, in real life, she killed them and the kids, and in this, the kids escaped. But the description is, wow, it's been a minute. I mean, I like this episode about the trouble kid, but we waited 50 years for this. I like that. So what I'm noticing is that the episode descriptions are kind of like the audience critiques, like what they think the people are gonna say, and that's pretty accurate. You know, the show was off for like 4 years, and it comes back with an episode that doesn't feature any of the main cast. So it's interesting that they kind of, you know, put that as their episode description, because that is what people were saying. Like, oh man, it's been 4 years and we got an episode without the cast. Episode 2, Santa Claus is coming to town. That's the one with the blackface. I think everybody knows blackface ain't cool anymore. We get it. They be trying too hard to go viral. Again, just like an audience critique. Episode 3, The Old Man, the Tree. That was the one where they ended up going to that billionaire's house that was behind the decoy house. And he had that tree that that Paperboy started cutting down. It says, this one was cool. Going to rich parties and meeting weirdos. Season 1 was better. The Big Payback, which is episode 4, which is the reparations episode, says, I was legit scared watching this. And then last week, Cancer Attack, and I read this one on the video. Sometimes shows just be over my head acting fake deep. Where's the poop jokes? And then they delivered on a poop joke episode. Not a poop joke episode, but an episode with jokes in it. Like, they didn't try to do anything particularly profound. They just had a funny episode. And then so now I'm going to transition into talking about this week's episode and its episode description. It says, I've definitely seen this before on a better show. They're always stealing ideas, but the fashion industry got to be exposed. Hashtag streetwear. I think it's interesting because while I haven't necessarily seen this done on a better show, like, this is ground that has been tread multiple times. Like, this is not anything new or even really that imaginative. The idea of white people stealing shit, using black people to I guess, save face or to reshape or repair their brand. These are all things that have been commonly talked about and things that have been covered in other various forms of media, whether that be social media, whether that be film, whether that be television, whatever. This is very familiar ground. So while I'm not going to say I've definitely seen better or I've seen it better on another show or on a better show, this is very familiar territory. And it is kind of, I guess, concerning that Atlanta is now kind of doing stuff that it's like, I feel like I've seen this before. And that's something that Atlanta, you could never accuse Atlanta of before, is doing something you've seen before. This episode feels like something, not necessarily something I've seen before because Atlanta did it their way. But this concept of the way these white people are moving in this episode is pretty familiar territory. But all that to say, I didn't dislike this episode or anything. I'm just really just pointing out the fact that it is kind of familiar. It is familiar territory here, but it was still an entertaining episode. Had a few laughs, but there are a few things I want to talk about. So each of the 3 male protagonists have their own, I guess, adventure this week. So after Earn and Paperboy discuss Paperboy working with this fashion company, who I'm guessing because it happens, they don't show this aspect of it. I guess they get into trouble on social media, or they get canceled or whatever for these Central Park 5 shirts. You know, using black tragedy to line their pockets. Another thing that white people are very used to doing and getting away with. And Earn has a conversation with him, and then we don't see Earn until he runs into Van in this hotel lobby. He has to go to an Apple store if there's an Apple store nearby. And he sees Van in this lobby, and they start to talk, and he kind of checks her about not checking in. And while this is happening, this white lady comes in and tries to do a citizen's arrest, accuses Van of stealing this wig. They, of course, play the race card. The hotel kicks the lady out. Interestingly enough, Earn kind of like, I guess, finagles his way into getting a room in this hotel. It's unclear to me, and I think this is the show's fault. It's unclear to me where he is exactly. Like, was he just walking down the street and randomly went into a hotel to ask if there was an Apple store? And then he, like, tricked his way into getting a room? And if so, how do you even do that? Because he said something like, you can't find my bags, you can't find my room. Like, I feel like that's something that could easily be poked at by a hotel and be like, wait, what's your name? We don't even have a reservation for you. Like, what are you talking about? So I'm very unclear on where he was and how he got there, which I do think is a flaw in this episode, but ultimately it's not that important. They end up getting this room. They seem to share a moment, and right as they're about to kiss, Earn asks Van if she actually stole the wig. And then she doesn't answer. She does kiss him, and then he wakes up the next morning in the bed by himself. And I think it's interesting because I think whatever's going on with Van is the most intriguing aspect of this show to me. I really want to know what's happening with Van because, when the woman came in accusing her of stealing this wig, my immediate thought was, oh, here we go. White people being white people, accusing somebody of stealing because they can't afford, whatever. You think they can't afford it. But we saw Van stealing for no reason at that one billionaire's house, just stealing shit, and Earn had to cover for her. And she doesn't answer the question of whether or not she actually stole the wig. And the idea of her secretly stealing things, I wonder where that's coming from. Not the idea, but, the idea, because we don't know for sure that she stole that wig, but the concept of her stealing these things, what's prompting her to do this? I'm curious. She's been very standoffish, kind of aloof, very distant, and she's stealing shit. So why? Because I'm assuming that she did steal that wig, and that woman was actually... She was still doing the most, trying to do a citizen's arrest, but I feel like that Van probably did steal the wig. The only thing that held me up is like they usually don't give you a bag from the store to put it in. But maybe she bought something at the store and also threw the wig in the bag, something like that. But I'm interested in exploring whatever it is that's going on with Van. I think that's pretty interesting, and the show hasn't really given it too much attention, aside from the text from last week's episode where he texted her and she replied with the thumbs up emoji. So, interested to see what happens there. I think they need to explore that a little bit more. Meanwhile, Paperboy is being used as like this token black guy to, like I said, repair this fashion brand's reputation after the controversy surrounding the Central Park 5 shirt. And Paperboy pitches Earn's idea to this group of influencers. So in their conversation earlier that I alluded to, Earn essentially suggested, I might do this, but I would also ask for a spot on the board, and I would learn their infrastructure and learn how to teach black people to invest in their communities. And Paperboy pitches this idea, and eventually he gets everybody on board, and then this ad comes out, and Paperboy is rightfully pissed off because they did All Lives Matter, his idea. I think they actually even did worse than All Lives Mattering his idea because they put out this ad that features like 10 different people in it. Only one of them is black. And all the rest of them are like, reinvest in your hood, reinvest in your hood. We all got a hood. We all got a hood. And then the black guy comes up. I don't remember what he said, but it was some ghetto shit. Like they made him look like a fool, especially in comparison to everyone else. So, he rightfully blows up, but I think he learned an interesting lesson because the whole time this guy Khalil that he's been dealing with seems like a sucker. Like, oh, this guy's just kowtowing to the white people to get some money or whatever. He don't stand for shit. But then after Paperboy blows up, Khalil takes him out and he asked like what I thought was a brilliant question. He was like, why would they fund their own demise? Like they're not going to do something that's going to tell people to take money away from them as a business and put it into black communities. Like why would they do that? And he basically was like, that's why you got to have your own shit, your own charity. Then you take that money, put it in your own shit, and you can do with it what you want. And I thought that was interesting. This show has kind of done that device before, where somebody seems like they're on some other shit, but they're actually kind of wise. And it's interesting to me that Paperboy didn't even think of this because look at what's happening right now. Khalil is teaching Paperboy the idea, like, you got to fleece these white people for whatever you can, and do it however you got to get it done. And for me, it's, I got this charity fund and they put money in there and I can use it for however it needs to be used. And then he didn't think of that, he being Paperboy, when in episode 3, Paperboy was the one telling Earn to fleece white people. Like, they always, what do you say? They're always, I don't know, always stealing shit or something like that. I can't remember what it was they were doing, but he essentially coerced Earn into also taking advantage of this white billionaire. So I thought it was interesting that Paperboy didn't think of this, and Khalil kind of had to give him the same speech that he gave Earn in a few episodes back. And now the part of the episode that I think is probably the most worn, the most traveled road here when we talk about concepts that have been retread, is this storyline with Darius. He wants this rice, this jollof rice, this Nigerian rice, and this woman who I guess works for this fashion company says that she'll take him there to this restaurant. And you can already see where this is going while they're having their meal. The woman starts asking what other people are having, what's in the meal that she has. She's trying to Shazam the music playing. She mentions investing in this place because she sees potential for growth. And in my notes while I'm watching this, I'm like, she gonna make her own restaurant, or she's gonna buy this one, or whatever. She gonna steal this shit. And sure enough, Darius comes back however long later to go to the restaurant, and it's closed, and she's out there with a gentrified ass Nigerian food truck. And what bothered me about that is, like, nothing about this was surprising or unfamiliar. It was as predictable as you can get. And I mean, it's a, the show wants to make these points, right? And they're valid points, but it's just that this one has been done, man. This one has been done. Like, this was very predictable where this was going. So, while I found the episode itself to be enjoyable, it very frequently traveled material here. So, like I said, solid episode, fun to watch. I enjoyed it, but they are kind of I can't say I've seen it on a better show, but I've definitely seen this kind of thing done. So, I'm not trying to sit here and suggest that this is the start of the decline for Atlanta. I don't know, but I will say that this is the first time that I've watched an episode of Atlanta and thought, I've already seen this. Like, usually they're giving me something that's creative, something new, that makes a statement, that makes a point, and they're making the statement and making the point. But this feels like there's 8,000 tweets that have probably come across the Glover's timeline that have been about this kind of concept, and it feels very familiar, and that's kind of surprising. But until next week, I guess, what is next week's episode 7? I don't know how many there are. I think there's 8, maybe 10, but until next week, peace.